All right.
We were
Stand
talking
by.
informally.
Stand by. Let's go, studio. Thanks a lot for staying with us here on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM, the story of Jamaicans at home and Jamaicans abroad. We're live at the International Institute for Peace Through Tourism International Community Tourism Conference, taking place here at the Mona Visitors Lodge on the Mona campus of the University of the West Indies. And look who has joined us now. We have Dr. Louis D'Amour, founder and president of the International Institute for Peace Through Tourism. Good afternoon, Mr. D'Amour. Welcome to Jamaica, or should we say welcome back?
Welcome back. Good afternoon. It's great to be with you.
It's great to have you speaking with us. Also at our table is Diana McIntyre-Pike, president and founder of Country Style Villages as Businesses and president of the IIPT. Now, make a note of it, listeners. International Institute for Peace Through Tourism. So whenever I say IIPT, or any of my guests say IIPT, that's what we're talking about. International Institute for Peace Through Tourism. You can Google that. In the meantime, Dr. D'Amour, first of all, give us a sense of your impression of community tourism in Jamaica, of the kind of tourism that the International Institute for Peace Through Tourism promotes. What has been your experience here in Jamaica?
Well, to answer your question on the kind of tourism that IIPT promotes, we go back to 1988, the first global conference on tourism, a vital force for peace. It was held in Vancouver. And at the time, all of tourism was mass tourism. And the kind of tourism that IIPT promotes is tourism where people come to know one another in a personal, engaging way, where they get an appreciation of the culture of the people they're visiting, the history of people they're visiting, the ambiance and environment, the beautiful mountains around Kingsmouth, for example. And all of this is best exemplified by community tourism, which Diana McIntyre-Pike pioneered 10 years before that conference in 1978 and coined community tourism with her mentor at the time, Desmond Henry.
Desmond Henry, yes.
Right.
Yes. So that's the kind of tourism we promote, and if people will go to our website, IIPT.org, they'll see our credo of the peaceful traveler, which is kind of an ethic of traveling. Our vision is that travel and tourism become the world's first peace industry, and an industry that supports the belief that every traveler is potentially an ambassador for peace. And we're seeing that here today at this conference, so much energy, so much passion in terms of sharing Jamaican culture, in terms of welcoming visitors from around the world, and that visitor-guest host relationship. It's exemplified here in Jamaica.
Yeah, it's humanizing,
Exactly.
isn't it? Yes, as opposed to people just seeing it as just going in for sun, sea, and whatever else.
That's right.
And getting out, but putting a face.
Putting a face, getting that relationship with the other person,
Yes,
realizing that we are all part of one human family.
that's right. In fact, it was a great Jimmy Cliff who did that song, "We All Are One."
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's right.
One
Yeah.
love.
Yes, indeed. All right, so stay where you are, please, Mr. D'Amour, as we bring in Diana McIntyre-Pike here. From your perspective, you've been in the trenches, on the battlefield for a long time. What are you seeing? Is there a light at the end of the tunnel? And is it a train?
There's a lot of light at the end of the tunnel here. We have had this week especially wonderful presentations and groups that have come together from all over the island, from way down in Orange Bay, Beeston Spring, Kitson Town, they're all here.
Yes.
And to see how much they're enjoying getting the information of how they can move forward. And the IPT has given us the honor of having this year as being the International Year of Community Tourism and Peace in collaboration with Country Style Villages and Businesses internationally. And we're celebrating over 40 years now of the pioneering of community tourism. And they branded us the home of community tourism, and we brought the Caribbean in. If you look inside, you'll see Jamaica, home of community tourism, and the Caribbean, so that we can all work together as one region. So Compete Caribbean coming on board with us is the best thing that could happen, because they are representing all the governments of the Caribbean, right? CTO, they're based in Barbados, and they're focusing on community-based tourism, which is different to community tourism. Community tourism is the sustainable approach with community development for any country, but community-based tourism is the entrepreneurship side of it, where you can specialize in agriculture, art and craft, and music. So we branded tourism as agritourism, cultural tourism. I was even telling them today about the W tourism. W tourism is
Rose Hall.
But the communities don't want me to specialize in the W tourism. They say we don't want them to wake up with W. So, but it's just to let you know that it is so exciting. Niche marketing, that we have that tomorrow, a presentation, that people can choose in each village what niche market they want to specialize in, and then we can then design the training programs through our Academy for Community Tourism. And as you probably have heard, we have a 5-day community tourism entrepreneurship program with the UII Open Campus. It is accredited, and the first one we did with the accreditation was in Barbados last year, and so Barbados now have the Barbados Community Tourism Network, and we have now set up the Africa Community Tourism Network with IPT and ourselves. So to answer the question, we are really moving now, and I think that we're on the right track. And Minister Shaw today blew our minds, because he said, look, I like this community tourism, and I am prepared to facilitate getting everybody to work together with the government, not only Minister of Tourism, education, everybody, so we can get this thing moving in a very positive way to help the country and the people.
Excellent. This is good news. Let's bring back Dr. Louis D'Amour here, founder and president of IIPT. What are some of the current global trends in this business of peace through tourism? What are some of the ways in which the rest of the world are latching on to this? Is it catching on? Is it picking up? Has it stabilized? Has it declined? What have you been noticing?
Well, as a baseline, let me mention that when I started this, it was in Canada in 1983. And I was well known among the industry leaders in Canada for the work I was doing. And as I asked them to support the idea of peace through tourism, an international conference on peace through tourism, the response was, what's peace got to do with tourism?
Oh dear.
Tourism, that's government's job. So move forward a couple of years, 1985, 86.
So you weren't daunted after those facing those brick walls?
No, I kept pushing on.
Yes.
Just like Diana.
Yes. So 1985.
1985, 86. Terrorism peaked back then. And most of it was aimed at the travel and tourism industry. Airplane hijackings, something called the Achille Lauro affair, which was a cruise ship. And they threw a person overboard that was on a wheelchair.
Oh no.
They had a massacre at Fiumicino Airport, and the Vienna Airport was timed to coincide, and many, many other incidents. Tourism around the world declined. We had done the most in-depth study on the impact of terrorism on tourism, which got published in a prominent journal in Canada, the Business Quarterly. And the lights went on. The leaders of the industry realized, without peace, there is no tourism.
That's right.
That's right.
So we got excellent support for the first global conference, Tourism, a Vital Force for Peace, in Vancouver in 1988. 800 people from 68 countries participated. The president of Iceland, who had just hosted the Reykjavik summit between Reagan and Gorbachev, she was our honorary chairperson, the first elected woman head of state in the world. And as I mentioned, 800 people from 68 different countries, all of them saying it was the best conference they'd ever been to.
Wow.
And this was the beginning of peace through tourism. in a real way. So moving forward to the current day, there's hardly a political leader or minister of tourism that gives a talk without saying the important role that tourism has to play in promoting peace, mutual understanding among people, international cooperation, which is best exemplified right here in the Caribbean, protecting the environment, because, for example, in Africa, acres and miles are set apart as game parks, as wilderness areas, and so on. They can only sustain that with tourism that goes to these areas. All the antiquities in the world, the pyramids in Jordan, Petra, these areas are sustained and kept because of tourism. So tourism has a tremendous role to play in terms of promoting the international understanding among people, cooperation among nations, protecting the environment, and poverty reduction.
Yes.
Very, very important. And this is, again, something that IIPT introduced, the important role of tourism in poverty reduction. That brings me back to 1989, when I first met Diana. And I was here because after the success of our conference, I had convinced the Canadian International Development Agency that they should begin looking at the role of tourism for economic development, for poverty alleviation, job creation, entrepreneurship. At the time, no government development agency was involved in tourism. It was considered as a frivolous industry.
Oh dear.
And as you mentioned in your introduction, sun, sea, sand, maybe something else. So no way they were getting involved in it. When we, and what happened in 1989, I convinced them that they should begin looking at it. And I came to Jamaica as part of a study of 4 islands in the Caribbean, 3 countries in Central America, to look at the potential role for tourism in development. And that was the seeding of development agencies getting involved. And I think Diana was a beneficiary of that seeding in a few years. And as well, in 1994, when we had our second global conference, I got a call from the World Bank, vice president. The theme of that conference was building a sustainable world through tourism. And the World Bank said, this is the kind of tourism we want to support. And that person became a keynote speaker with other keynote speakers and so on. And that was the beginning of
So it has become quite infectious in a very good way.
And development agencies are getting behind it. They see the importance
it's quite
for
amazing.
development.
Yes. Hold on, let's talk some more. We have to take a break. One moment, please. Dr. Louis D'Amour, founder and president of the International Institute for Peace Through Tourism, IIPT, and Diana McIntyre-Pike, president and founder of Country Style Villages as Businesses and president of the IIPT Caribbean. More in a moment.
Well done.
You're going to put the earphones on, Diana.
No, mate, we've been sharing.
No, but my voice is very low. I have a natural.
In many ways.
Yeah.
And beginning to be heard.
Yes, indeed, indeed. Finally, eh?
We're anticipating some great support now from the government.
Good.
Ministers' participation.
Good.
Well, you know what? I think that all the shows ministry endorsing us, and it's the best thing that could ever happen because he covered everything: commerce, fisheries, agriculture, the whole work that is involved with community development.
Right.
So he saw that very clearly when he looked at the program and the outline that we had.
And also, he saw the energy in the room here
Yeah,
today.
he saw it. Yeah.
The energy is just fantastic. And the creativity, the ideas being spread around. It's just fantastic.
Thank you. Beast and Spring would be nice to hear from them if you get a chance.
Sure, we're here until 5.
So yeah, Beast. For Kids in Town, Beast and Spring, and Resource. Those are the ones. talk to.
Maybe Diana can talk to this, but not only tourism, but the whole approach to peace. There is a tremendous project going on in Manchester. Dr. Clifton Reed.
Oh yes, I know Dr. Reed.
He spoke, gave a great presentation, and maybe Diana can talk to what Dr. Reed is doing in Manchester. And that is a model we're trying to get it. What word did he use? He used a medical term, but to get it spread throughout Jamaica to begin with, and has potential to spread out through the Caribbean.
Okay. Stand by. Oh, okay. All right, I'll wrap when we come back. Sure. Let's go, studio. Thank you so much. The sound there of the legendary Robert Nesta Marley, OM, Smile Jamaica. Yeah, that's the theme song this afternoon on both sides of the story, Power 106 FM, as we celebrate international community tourism in the form of this conference, which has tremendous support when you look at the partner entities, not least among them, the International Institute for Peace through Tourism, IIPT. The founder and president is with us, Dr. Louis D'Amour. Diana McIntyre-Pike, president and founder, Country Style Villages as Businesses. She's also president of the IIPT Caribbean. Diana McIntyre-Pike, in terms of priorities for the IIPT in Jamaica and the Caribbean, what are those priorities? Where are you right now? And where are you hoping to go? Whether here in Jamaica, if you start in Jamaica as the nucleus, and spreading out to the rest of the region.
Well, what we'd like to do is to increase our membership, because we're a membership organization. That's why it's called Country Style Villages as Businesses, where people can become a member. And then when they become a member, whether they're a partner member or just a member, they are now in a position to get marketing support, business development support, and also funding support.
Well, let's get straight to it. How do I become a member? I mean, can I just go dig up somewhere in my backyard and say, look, just create a story around that and say, I want to be a member because I have a special hole in my backyard?
that is historic. No, it works this way. When you are interested in what we are about, and we're on the website, we're on Facebook and so on, and we get quite a few calls.
Yes.
They say, we'd like to participate, we'd like to know how we can participate. They send an email, and our email is iiptcaribbean@yahoo.com, or they call us at 876-507-6326, and then we have a discussion and a meeting, and then they want us to come and see what they have to offer, and then we look at it. And
okay, so it's not a case of run, come quick, and you run and you say, okay, certified.
No, it's not like that. We have to go and see where they are, what they're offering, and their community, because it's not an isolated thing. Somebody can't just call and say, I have a heritage site in my community. That's not the way it works. It's a community buy-in.
Yes.
And we meet with the community and form a steering committee. And the steering committee now determines what they would like to value, and we give them a private training, and then from there they are able to decide where they want to go forward, what businesses that they want to give support to, and what potential businesses, because it's about business development and teaching them how to become business people. Because economic development has to go from the bottom up, and that way they won't depend on other people, but they learn how to move forward like any other business person.
In a sustainable way? In
a sustainable way, and be able to put a business plan together with them. And here we have one with brochures. We have a brochure for Beeson, Spring, and so on, so they're able to promote what they have. So what I'll just say is that for the Caribbean program, and we do work with the Caribbean, because we've been in Antigua, Grenada. We took community to Dominica and all over, and they all want to participate in exactly what I've said. But I think the biggest challenge we have, and I have to bring it forward, is that we do have such a wonderful expertise of trainers and consultants like yourself in the Caribbean, and we are wanting to have us respected and recognized, not as stakeholders, and that goes for community persons who are business people who have input. We want to be recognized as consultants and business people too. So when you have the international agencies coming with projects, they need to meet with us on that basis and not ask us to give our information and then run with it, and then we're sitting down sucking salt, as you would call it. So I think that is the biggest challenge, and we're giving that as a clear message from this conference, that it cannot be business as usual. We've got to value our people, not just the heritage attraction and so, but the people themselves, what they have to offer. However simple they may seem, they have great knowledge, and we have to give them that. So the way forward is to set up the fund now, the Community Tourism Trust Fund. That is my biggest passion, so that we have our own fund, and we have interest from diaspora people and others who would, I'd like on a diaspora program to discuss it, because we're going to have people invest in the fund, and then the interest from that is what we're going to use to help projects and to give soft loans of 2 to 3% for community projects. That, to me, is what will make it really work.
Sounds exciting. Well, let's make a date for Saturday on the Jamaican
Yes,
Diaspora Live Online.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll talk.
All
But
right.
thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
And all the very best.
Thank you.
Okay, take care.
Enjoy
And
very
Dr.
much.
Damour, thank you.
God bless you.
All the best. It's been a pleasure. So you heard there from Diana McIntyre-Pike, the president and founder of Country Style Villages as Businesses and president of the International Institute for Peace through Tourism, IIPT Caribbean, and of course Dr. Louis Damour, founder and president of the IIPT.